On Tuesday, while I was at work, something interesting happened. Two customers came to our cafe. They were a husband and a wife. The man started to speak to me, and I knew he spoke English, but I couldn't understand him. I didn't understand what he wanted and thought that he wanted something we didn't have, so I called my boss. She spoke with the man and sold him 2 coffees and 2 of our regular sandwiches. I was surprised. When they left, I went to my boss and told her that I was sorry I didn't understand the man. She said that it was okay. She said that this could happen when people speak with an accent that is new to us. She told me that the pair was from Scotland. The next day, I went to school and told this story to my teacher. I told her that I felt really stupid that I didn't understand our customer. I wasn't sure if my English was good enough for my job and started to doubt myself. My boss was okay with it, but I still needed some help from my teacher. I wanted to know what I could do in these situations. My teacher said, "I understand, you are used to English spoken in London, but you aren't used to the Scottish accent. Your ears aren't used to listening to the Scottish accent. All you have to do is listen more to Scottish English. You need to train your ears to this accent as well. What happened to you can happen to everybody. When you already speak English at some level and you go to a country where people speak with a different accent, you shouldn't be surprised if you don't understand. It is okay, and it usually takes 2 weeks to get used to this new accent. Don't think that there is something wrong with you when you don't understand a new accent. With practice, you can train your ears to any accent." Then I asked, "So what can I do to understand the Scottish accent?" "I don't live in Scotland." Our teacher said, "You can watch films with Scottish English or you can watch situation comedies from Scotland, and soon you will understand." I told her thank you. After school, I went to my work again. At about 4 o'clock, 2 interesting customers came to our cafe. This time they were not from Scotland, they were foreigners. They wanted to buy some coffee. They were 2 ladies, and it was clear that their English was very basic. My boss was serving them. When she heard that they didn't speak English very well, she did something very interesting. She changed her English. She used very simple sentences with only 3 or 4 words. I could see that the ladies understood her. They bought 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches, and 2 cakes. They were happy, and my boss was happy too. When the ladies left, I told my boss that it was very nice how she changed her English so that the 2 ladies would understand her. My boss said that sometimes she had to speak in very simple English. It didn't matter if the customers spoke English well or not, they were our customers, and we had to do everything possible to make them feel comfortable. If they saw that they could speak English here, they could come to our cafe every day. I thought that our boss was a good businesswoman. She did everything possible to make our customers happy. It is true that we have a lot of customers. Our cafe is busy every day. When you want to understand people with a special accent, listen to audio with their accent for some time. This is what you can do at your level. The next day at school, I told my teacher about my experience with my boss and the two ladies who didn't speak English very well. Our teacher said, "Great, your boss must be a very clever young lady. It is true that you can communicate with everybody. Even people who speak English very well can have a conversation with those who are just at the beginning of their journey." Today we will speak about different levels of English and what you should be able to do at these levels. Let's start with the lowest level of 1,000 words. At this level, students can speak about some basic things from everyday life. The speaking is very limited, but it is already possible to communicate slowly for a short time with people who want to speak with you. Your sentences are short, they usually have 4 words. If the others also speak in short sentences, you can have a basic conversation. When students move to a higher level, which is 2,000 words, the conversations are easier and the sentences are longer. This is the level most of you in this class are at right now. You should be able to speak about many things from your life. You can speak about your family, hobbies, job, and traveling. Sometimes you can have a problem when you want to go into a deeper conversation on some topics. However, this level is usually sufficient enough for everyday use of English. If you want to be able to have a deeper conversation on many topics, it is good to know 3,000 words. Your goal as a student of English who wants to be able to speak English well should be to learn 3,000 words. Of course, you can learn more than 3,000 words. The more words you know, the easier it will be for you to communicate in English. But 3,000 words is the level which is usually enough for communicating in English about almost everything. I think that the two ladies at your cafe knew about 1,000 words. Your boss went to their level, and she had a basic conversation with them. After school, I went to my work. The two ladies came to our cafe again. They also brought 2 of their friends. It was my turn to serve them. I spoke to them in simple, short sentences. They understood me. This was great. They told me that they were tourists from Japan and that they liked our cafe because people understood them here. When you want to be able to communicate in English, learn 3,000 words. On Thursday, I went to school again. One student had a very interesting question. She said, "I am very shy when I have to speak English. Can you help me to overcome my shyness?" Our teacher said, "It is true that when we use foreign languages, it is natural that we feel uncertain or shy. We are doing something which we are not perfect at. The possibility of making a mistake is great. I was also very shy when I learned foreign languages. I remember well how I was afraid to make a mistake. When I made a mistake, I felt stupid, and sometimes I blushed. Now it is different. I use languages for communication. I care only about communication. You know that I'm learning Spanish these days. Embarrassing situations can happen, but they can't stop me from using Spanish. It is true that sometimes I still feel shy when I have to speak Spanish. I also sometimes blush, but I don't care much about it. It is a natural human feeling, and it never lasts forever. I continue using Spanish because I know that only by using it can I improve. I also try to see things as they are. I am a student, and I am on the way to good Spanish. It is not possible to skip several levels in one day. A beginner can't become a perfect speaker in 1 hour. I also see what I mean to people around me. When I already speak some Spanish, I have value to people who speak Spanish. You should see the same. When you already speak some English, you can have a conversation with other people in English. That's great. Look at what you already know. You know 2,000 words. You have already gone from 0 to 2,000 words. Appreciate it. Some students have a feeling that knowing English means being able to speak like a native speaker, to have perfect pronunciation, perfect grammar, and just speak perfectly without any mistakes. They think that if they are not doing that, then they don't know English. They are embarrassed because they are not perfect. These students are very hard on themselves, and it is not necessary. You are great because you already speak some English. Continue working on your English, and your shyness can gradually go away. I liked what our teacher told us. I am also sometimes shy. I know that I should practice speaking a lot, but in some situations, I don't want to look stupid and don't speak as much as I should. I decided to be a bit braver in these situations and use them to practice more. Then one student said, "Sometimes I want to say something, but I don't know the word I want to say. Then I stop, and I don't know what to do." In these situations, I feel very stupid. Then, the next time I can speak English, I don't want to speak because I don't want to be in this stupid situation again. Can you help me with this? Our teacher said, when you start to speak English, you have to prepare for one thing. There will be moments when you don't know a word you want to say. In such a situation, you will need to learn how to describe the word. This ability is very important when learning a new language. Since you are not a native English speaker, you will probably never know the same amount of words as you know in your native language. I can tell you that you can describe almost every word. You only need to train this skill. You will have to train how to express ideas within the vocabulary you have. For example, if you don't know how to say the word key, you can describe it as a small thing for opening a door. You also describe words in your native language without realizing it. If you don't know the word for something, you just describe it. You have to learn to do the same in English. When you start practicing this skill, it will soon become natural for you. So, when you forget a word next time, don't feel stupid. Just describe it, and the others will probably understand you. I like this advice. I tried to describe the words I didn't know in my native language, and it was very helpful. I decided to use this advice and practice describing words in English. When you practice describing words, you will soon be able to describe anything you don't know the word for. After school, I went to my work again. This day was very interesting. We had a lot of tourists. Some of them didn't speak English very well. I used simple English with those who didn't speak English well and described words that they didn't understand. I used this day to practice my English and my new skills. It was fun. One man said that he liked our cafe and that he would come again. I felt very good. This is what I want from my English, to be able to use it, to be able to help people understand what I say, and to understand what they say. The next week at school, we had a lesson about idiomatic expressions in English. Our teacher explained that idioms are phrases that don't mean exactly what the words say. For example, "It's raining cats and dogs" means it's raining very hard, not that animals are falling from the sky. She told us that understanding idioms is important because native speakers use them often in everyday conversations. During the lesson, I remembered an experience I had at the cafe a few months ago. A customer said he was over the moon about our coffee. I didn't understand what he meant at the time, so I just smiled and nodded. Now I know that over the moon means very happy. This made me realize that learning idioms could help me understand and communicate better with our customers. Our teacher gave us a list of common idioms and their meanings. We practiced using them in sentences and conversations. I found it interesting and fun. I could see how using idioms could make my English sound more natural. I decided to try using some of these idioms at work. The next day at the cafe, I had a chance to use an idiom I learned. A regular customer came in and asked how I was doing. I replied, "I'm on cloud 9 today because the weather is so nice." He smiled and said, "That's great to hear." I felt proud of myself for using the idiom correctly. Later, a tourist couple came in and asked for recommendations on what to do in the city. I suggested they visit the local museum and said, "It's a real hidden gem." They appreciated the recommendation and said they would check it out. Using the idioms made me feel more confident in my English skills. At the end of the week, we had a special event at the cafe. We hosted a small concert by a local band. The cafe was packed with people, and I was busy serving drinks and food. During a break, I chatted with some of the customers. One of them complimented our service and said we were the cream of the crop. I understood the idiom and thanked him for the kind words. The experience of learning and using idioms was very rewarding. It made me realize how much I had improved my English since I started working at the cafe. I felt more confident and capable of handling different situations with customers. I also appreciated the support and encouragement from my boss and teacher. On Saturday, I went to the cafe again. I saw the Scottish couple who had come in a few weeks ago. This time, I was prepared. When they ordered their coffee and sandwiches, I made sure to listen carefully and repeat their order to confirm. They seemed pleased with my effort and thanked me. It felt good to have overcome the initial difficulty of understanding their accent. In the afternoon, we had a group of students from a local English language school visit the cafe. They were practicing their English and wanted to interview some of the staff. One of the students asked me about my experience working at the cafe and learning English. I told them about my journey, from struggling with different accents to learning idioms and practicing describing words. They were inspired by my story and said they hoped to improve their English as well. I felt proud to be able to share my experiences and help others on their language learning journey. It reminded me that learning a language is a continuous process, and every little effort counts. I also realized that working at the cafe not only helped me improve my English but also allowed me to meet people from different cultures and backgrounds. In the following weeks, I continued to practice my English at work and school. I watched movies and TV shows with different accents, tried to use idioms in my conversations, and practiced describing words I didn't know. I also started reading books and articles in English to expand my vocabulary. One day, a customer came in and asked for a recommendation on what to order. I described our special sandwich of the day in detail, using some of the new words I had learned. The customer was impressed and said I was very good at explaining things. It was a great compliment and motivated me to keep improving. As time went on, I felt more and more comfortable speaking English. I no longer felt as shy or hesitant when talking to customers. I was able to handle different situations with confidence and ease. I also noticed that I was making fewer mistakes and my pronunciation had improved. Looking back, I realized how far I had come since I started working at the cafe. My journey was filled with challenges, but each one taught me something valuable. I learned to be patient with myself, to practice regularly, and to embrace mistakes as opportunities to learn. I also learned the importance of listening and understanding different accents, using simple language when needed, and describing words I didn't know. These skills helped me communicate effectively with customers and made me a better English speaker. My experience at the cafe taught me that learning a language is not just about memorizing words and grammar rules. It's about using the language in real-life situations, interacting with people, and constantly challenging yourself to improve. With dedication and practice, anyone can become fluent in English or any other language. I am grateful for the support of my boss, who always encouraged me, and my teacher, who provided valuable guidance. They both played a significant role in my language learning journey. Now, I am excited about the future and the possibilities that come with speaking English fluently. I know there will always be more to learn, but I am ready to face new challenges and continue improving my skills. Working at the cafe has been a rewarding experience, and I look forward to many more opportunities to use and enhance my English in the years to come. On Monday, I went back to school with a renewed sense of confidence. Our teacher started the lesson by asking us to share any recent experiences where we used English outside of class. I raised my hand and told my classmates about the busy weekend at the cafe, the idioms I used, and the interactions with the customers. Everyone listened attentively, and our teacher praised my efforts. She emphasized the importance of applying what we learn in real-life situations and encouraged everyone to do the same. One of the students, Maria, mentioned that she had difficulty understanding idiomatic expressions and asked for tips on how to learn them effectively. Our teacher suggested that we create a word of the day board where we could write down a new idiom or phrase each day, along with its meaning and an example sentence. We all agreed that this was a great idea, and I volunteered to make the first entry. I wrote "over the moon" on the board and explained it to the class. Throughout the week, we took turns adding new idioms to the board. It became a fun and interactive way to expand our vocabulary. We also started incorporating these idioms into our conversations during breaks and group activities. It was challenging at first, but gradually, we became more comfortable using them naturally. Meanwhile, at the cafe, I continued to practice my English with customers. One afternoon, a family from Australia came in. Their accent was different from what I was used to, but I remembered my teacher's advice to listen carefully and not get discouraged. I served them coffee and sandwiches, and we had a pleasant chat about their travels. They complimented me on my English, which boosted my confidence even more. Another memorable encounter happened later that week. A customer came in and ordered a latte, but when I handed it to him, he looked puzzled. He explained that in his country, a latte is usually served in a large glass, not a cup. I apologized and offered to make him another one in a glass. He appreciated my willingness to accommodate his preference, and we ended up having a nice conversation about cultural differences and coffee traditions. This experience taught me the importance of being adaptable and open-minded. Back at school, our teacher introduced us to the concept of chunking in language learning. She explained that chunking involves learning phrases and expressions as whole units rather than focusing on individual words. This approach helps improve fluency and makes it easier to recall and use language in conversations. We practiced chunking by repeating common phrases and dialogues, and it was surprising how quickly it helped us speak more naturally. Inspired by this new technique, I decided to implement chunking at the cafe. I memorized useful phrases for taking orders, recommending menu items, and handling common customer requests. For example, instead of thinking of each word separately, I practiced saying, "Would you like anything else with that?" and "How is everything today?" as complete chunks. This made my interactions smoother and more efficient. One evening, as I was closing the cafe, I reflected on my journey so far. I realized that each day brought new opportunities to learn and grow. The challenges I faced were not obstacles but stepping stones that helped me become a better English speaker and a more confident person. The next day at school, our teacher asked us to write a short essay about our language learning journey. I poured my thoughts onto the paper, recounting my experiences at the cafe, the lessons from my teacher, and the progress I had made. Writing the essay was a cathartic experience, allowing me to appreciate how much I had achieved and the support I had received along the way. As I continued to practice and improve, I noticed a significant change in my attitude towards learning English. What once felt daunting and stressful had become enjoyable and rewarding. I started looking forward to each new day, eager to use my English in different situations and connect with people from various backgrounds. One afternoon, a group of tourists from France visited the cafe. They struggled with English, so I switched to simple sentences and spoke slowly. They were grateful for my patience and effort to communicate clearly. After they left, my boss commended me for my excellent service and adaptability. Her words meant a lot to me, and I felt proud of the progress I had made. A few days later, I had another inspiring conversation with my teacher. She told me about her own language learning journey and the challenges she faced. She emphasized that persistence, practice, and a positive attitude are key to mastering any language. Her story resonated with me and motivated me to keep pushing forward. The cafe continued to be a vibrant place, attracting people from all over the world. Each customer interaction was a chance to learn something new and hone my English skills. I started keeping a journal where I noted down interesting conversations, new words, and idioms I encountered. This practice helped me track my progress and reflect on my experiences. On Friday, Our teacher organized a special class where we discussed cultural differences and how they affect communication. We shared stories from our own experiences and learned about customs and etiquette from various countries. This discussion opened my eyes to the importance of cultural awareness and language learning. It made me more empathetic and understanding towards customers who spoke different languages or had different cultural backgrounds. One of the most memorable moments that week was when a group of elderly ladies from Scotland visited the cafe. Remembering my initial struggle with the Scottish accent, I was determined to do better this time. I listened carefully, repeated their order to ensure accuracy, and even managed to engage them in a light-hearted conversation about their travels. They were delighted with the service and praised me for my attentiveness. This experience reinforced my belief that practice and patience are crucial in overcoming language barriers. As the weeks went by, I continued to grow more confident in my English abilities. I started participating more actively in class discussions and group activities. I also took on more responsibilities at the cafe, such as training new staff and handling customer complaints. Each new challenge was an opportunity to apply what I had learned and improve further. One evening, after a particularly busy day at the cafe, I sat down with my boss for a chat. She told me how proud she was of my progress and how much I had contributed to the cafe's success. She mentioned that many customers had complimented my service and appreciated my efforts to communicate effectively. Hearing this made me realize how much I had grown, both personally and professionally. Reflecting on my journey, I understood that language learning is not just about mastering vocabulary and grammar. It's about building confidence, being adaptable, and connecting with people. My experiences at the cafe and school had taught me valuable lessons about communication, cultural awareness, and the importance of perseverance. As I continued my studies and work, I remained committed to improving my English and helping others on their language learning journeys. I knew there would always be new challenges to face, but I felt ready to tackle them with confidence and a positive attitude. My journey was far from over, but I was excited about the future and the endless possibilities that lay ahead.